I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. KB Vijay Srinivas ji, Director and Joint Additional Charge CMD, retired United India Insurance Company and Director General of ACDR. So he is a veteran of insurance industry, and I am grateful to him for finding time today to address our students. And I think he has to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So we look forward to listen your address. Please.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Mr. Tiwari, if you could stay back, if you have time, we'll be grateful. If you have other engagement, then if you have some
I'm
time.
there for some time. I'm there for some time. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please go ahead, sir, Mr. Srinivas.
Director, Mr. Chaturvedi, Chief Guest for today's program, Mr. Abhay Tiwari, Professor Dr. Chaturaj, Professor Pratik Priyadarshi, Professor Manoj Pandey, Madam Monica Mittal, and students who are joining this course. It's a great delight to me to be here with you, if not physically, at least online. I'm taken back to my days when I did my MBA from Faculty of Management Studies in Delhi. I did my college and graduation and MBA and law and other things in my 70s and 80s. And later, sometime in the mid-90s, I had occasion to go to Pondicherry University to talk to MBA students there. And it was a kind of a cultural shock for me. Because those days when I was involved with studies as a student in the university, things were very much casual. Much more casual than what it was. And there was seriousness. But that seriousness was not very apparent. It was there somewhere inside, but outside it was all, a lot more of casualness and things. But when I went to this Pondicherry University to talk to students there, I found there was the set of people were totally, all in uniform, suits, and girls and boys, all very serious and asking serious questions all the time. It was a kind of a cultural shock to me. And I have now seen, I have interacted here, I have been in BMTech earlier also. I have seen that there's a lot of seriousness today and people spend a lot more of time teaching. The faculty spends a lot of effort on teaching as well. And the students also take a lot of time to understand things. I was just listening to the introductions and certain statements which were made. Dr. Chaturaj said that the job scene is bright. Now, at the same time, he said that because of this Agniveer protest, some students could not join. So, the job scene is bright here, but this Agniveer protest reflect the state of what is happening for the jobs scene in the country, where unemployment is high and people are, not only in India, but perhaps in the US also, it's the highest unemployment going on right now in so many decades. And in India also, unemployment has been a major issue. The second thing which Madam Monica Mittal was saying was that there's been 100% placement for all the persons passing out of BMTech. And the third thing which I was listening to was when Mr. Abhay Tiwari said that candidates from BMTech who have been employed by his company are doing exceedingly well and are also amongst the brightest. So then I was thinking that this practically sums up the entire session, and I need not speak anything further. I can rest my here itself and say that, okay, whatever has to be said has been said. And all of you are truly in a place where it's a kind of a niche area where you have selected a spot. There is, tremendous job opportunities, and you have selected an organization which ensures 100% placement, and a certification from a consumer, that is a person who has recruited people from this institution, saying that the candidates have been the brightest in his organization, shows that you have been given the right kind of inputs during the course which have been there. So it's a great beginning for all of you, and all of you seem have chosen an area where there is a lot of potential. It's not always been so. There was a time when, since I have a career which has spanned over 4 decades, and when I joined the industry in 1981, insurance was practically not known to people, including me. I joined because I passed an exam, and there was I just joined it. It happened incidentally. Otherwise, before that, all my interaction with insurance was every year when one agent used to come to our house and talk nicely and take a check from my father for insuring the car. That was my only interaction. And when I used to ask him, why does this person come year after year? He said, no, this is something which is necessary to be done. The car has to be insured. Otherwise, we can't go out, and you can't be taken out for a ride. So I understood whatever was to be understood. I understood. I said, okay, I forgive that person for coming and taking money away from my father. So it's okay. Doesn't matter. So it was at that stage. That was my knowledge of insurance. LIC was slightly better known, and people had a better knowledge of LIC. But then the other insurance, that is the non-life insurance, was not all that well known, the place where I was in. Over a period of time, that was a time when the non-life industry had been nationalized. There was, before that, in 1973, 74, 73, it was nationalized, 72, 73, and there were almost 107 insurance companies before that in the private sector, cooperative sector, multinationals, and so on and so forth. All these you will hear during the course of your, this particular program, and I'm sure they will tell you about all those things. And there was integration of all these companies. There was a considerable amount of mismatch, match, all those things happened. But finally, they were all integrated into 4 government insurance companies. And I was with United India Insurance, one of the 4 companies. From that stage, we carried on till the year 2000 when the IRDA bill was passed, and then insurance business was privatized and private insurance companies came in. So from the days of pre-nationalization to nationalization to post-nationalization, there have been a lot of changes in the industry, and we have seen a lot of challenges, and in various ways people have been coping with it. And organizations have still grown, the industry has grown. And today, in fact, it is one of the fastest growing industries in the country. Now, I thought, there's a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words or something like that. I don't know the exact thing. Maybe Pratik can tell better. But I thought I'll just share a few slides with you. I was asked to talk about career prospects in the industry. So I thought I'll share a few slides with you and also share what are the prospects available with you, despite the fact that Professor Chaturaj has already assured you all jobs. So in spite of that, I thought I'll tell you where the jobs could be. That's my role. So can I do that? Oh, this says only the host can share in this meeting.
Sir, we are, just give us a minute, we'll just work it out, sir.
Okay. Or I could talk, that's not a problem. See, basically, insurance, there are two streams to it.
Sir, you can go ahead with the slide presentation, sir.
Okay, leave it, doesn't matter, I'll just talk. So basically, the difference between life and non-life, you'll be told about it during this course. Life insurance is long-term. That is one essential difference. Secondly, very often it comes attached with a savings element to it. Non-life is something different. Non-life is an annual policy generally. There are a few exceptions to it, but it's annual policies. And that is how it has always been. And there is a lot more of activity in non-life. Practically everything other than human life, even human life, a portion of it called personal accident is covered by non-life. Life covers only life insurance policy. In detail, they will be telling you about all those things. When it comes to insurance, what is it that you can look forward to in today's context? Basically, remember, insurance is what we call a sunrise industry, an industry which is growing and growing and growing. Despite whatever I was listening to my young friend here who was asking about insurance penetration and what should be done. But in spite of that, if you look at the growth rates, there's been a consistent growth in the industry continuously. And even during COVID years, this was one industry which grew. And perhaps thanks to the COVID number as one factor, and second, perhaps hospitals and the strangulating bills which they used to give the patients, both have instilled such an amount of fear that people have gone in for, even during the COVID years, there has been a great increase in premium in business. One of the few industries in which it has perhaps had. And that's one reason why there have been a lot of foreign interest for entering this market. You see, investors outside, insurance companies outside or business outside India, they are all businessmen, very sharp-nosed businessmen. They are not coming here for losing money. They will come to India only when they see there's a potential for them. And when they come, like Kellogg's when it came, they were very clear. Their business model said that we are willing to make losses for 7 years. Doesn't matter. But the market is such that we are willing to put up with those losses. Later on, we'll recover our money. So that is the kind of business acumen and the business strategy that they follow. And these businesses are coming to India in a big way. They want, that's why there's been a demand for increase in foreign direct investment to go up from, earlier it was 24%, it went up to 49%. And for intermediaries, now they made it almost 100%. And that's the reason. And there is a interest in India because India is seen as a very, very, very big market. So the potential is great. You are in a sunrise industry. There is a lot of potential here. Now then, where do jobs lie? Or is there anything beyond jobs? So here I would like to say that while jobs are an important reason why you are here, this is one industry which can offer you self-employment also, or perhaps your creativity to come forward to do something on your own independently. There's a tremendous potential for it. As we go, I'll talk about it. There is, as far as jobs are concerned, where do the jobs lie? So we can draw a broad distinction. One is, of course, the insurance companies themselves, but that's not the only thing. There are certain institutions called the intermediaries, and these are huge. And in terms of number, they are large. What are these intermediaries? Intermediaries are those who connect the customer with the insurance companies. So it may be a simple agent, it could be a broker, a marketing intermediary, or any number of such marketing intermediaries which are there. Or it could be a claims intermediary, a person who handles like a third-party administrator, and or it could be an advocate who settles claims, or a surveyor who goes and inspects this thing. These are all a range of intermediaries are there. I'll just talk to you a little bit in depth about all these things. And these are areas where there's a lot of potential for employment. Now, marketing is the prime mover for any organization. In fact, those days, when I was doing my MBA, it was all very simple. It was more of a generalized course, and then there were specializations. There were basically 5 broad specializations: marketing, finance, and you had HR and so on. These kind of specializations. Now things have become more and more specialized. You are in doing a course in insurance, because insurance industry itself has become a very specialized area, and a lot of new things are to be learned and a lot of things unlearned. So here is an industry where this course will train you for that. But marketing is one area where there's a lot of scope for employment. And it could start from the basic thing. As Mr. Tiwari was also mentioning, that he started as his career in sales. So sales is an important facet of this marketing. And this is where there is a tremendous potential. And tremendous potential for not only employment, there is tremendous potential for self-employment, there is tremendous potential for growth in both employment as well as in self-employment. You wouldn't believe it. In the 70s and the 80s and 90s, still the market opened up. Entire sales was being done by just 2 broad agencies for the insurance companies. One was employees of the company, and second was what we call agents. Agents today are still an important channel for getting business, but then IRDA has opened up a whole lot of other channels. You have bancassurance, you have brokers, you have point of sales persons, you have this CSC, you have corporate agents, and so many things have been opened up. Some 8-9 channels have opened up. Each of these, there is a potential for a job and employment, self-employment. It's a huge potential. And as we all know, the market is open. The market is still wide open. Penetration, as he rightly asked this question, is still very low. So when this penetration is low, it means that there's a lot of scope for insurance. I remember long back in a course, there was a German who was with me. So I was casually asking, what is the amount of, how much do you pay by way of insurance in your country? So I was shocked to learn that they pay as much as 14% of the person's income went towards insurance. And here in India, in many cases, it's practically zero. And in some cases where we necessarily have to go for insurance, it may be a fraction, less than 1%, 0.5% perhaps, in terms of a person's income. So that is the disparity between what exists outside, and that is what the market is all about, and that is why there is a rush to India to open up new companies and new intermediaries, and that is the scope for marketing in India. It's we have traveled a long way in terms of understanding of insurance also. I have seen those days when many companies used to say that we have a budget of 25,000. That is all that we can afford for insurance. But because we have to give it in our annual report that insurance is there and things have been insured. So you give us some policy for 25,000. So that is what was the attitude at one point. Today, attitudes have changed. Today, many companies are coming forward and saying that we want to insure ourselves 100%. Give us a comprehensive insurance cover. We don't want any breaks in between. Tomorrow at the time of a claim, we don't want you coming and telling that, sorry, we can't pay the claim because you're not taken adequate insurance. Whatever is there, put it. This is the kind of thing which is attitudinal change which has happened. And as I told you earlier on, people's knowledge of insurance was essentially motor insurance, two-wheeler, four-wheeler, whatever it is. Today, thanks to COVID and increasing medical costs, medical has become the biggest portfolio in the insurance sector. So people are now coming and saying, okay, I want a policy. What a change. What a change from the time when people used to rush to customers, possible prospective customers, and say that please take a policy. From that, it has come to a stage where people are coming for certain specific types of policies. So the market potential is opening up, and you are entering the market at the right time. And marketing and sales is a major area. And before 2000, agents had only about 15 to 20% of the total premium. The rest of the premium of the non-life industry used to have what we call discount in lieu of agency commission. And we used to, whatever was the agency commission to be given to that line of business, we used to deduct it and give it back to the customer as a discount. So only about 15 to 20% of the agents thing used to be handled by agents. After things have opened up, it's totally changed, and it has gone on to 100%. Anything can be done by an agent. And believe me, there are agents today who earn, if I was physically present to you, I would have asked each one of you to guess, but that's not possible. But I'm telling you, I have seen agents who earn 10 crores, 12 crores, 15 crores as income per year. Individual agents. It's possible. So here is a great thing as far as marketing is concerned. You could be, think of it as a self-employment later. On your own, do it because the potential is fantastic, fabulous. Or you could handle them as an employee of an organization. So, but sales and marketing is a major, major thing. Along with that comes servicing, which is again a major area where there's potential for both employment as well as this thing, because any policy issued requires constant servicing. People will keep asking you for changes. We call it endorsements. We'll ask you for changes. They'll ask you for various things. So all those things, there's requirement for people. And that generally employees of intermediaries or insurance companies do. And that is one area which you can look up to as a possible entry point. Publicity is another area where all these products need to be publicized. So obviously, there's a lot of scope in publicity. Those of you who are interested in terms of, publicity or creativity, you could join various such organizations or internal organization setups within the company to do this. We had a lot of such people who used to create publicity material within the organization. We had identified in people like that who could do it, and they used to do it also. Even now, perhaps they are doing it. And there is, as far as intermediaries are concerned, you could be with brokers, you could be with insurance marketing firms or bank assurance or any of these things. You learn about all these things in due course. You become familiar with these words. And there is another area which is a major field, which is called the legal field, where a lot of legal cases are there. In fact, you hear of cases pending in the courts. Insurance industry contributes a substantial number to them. And there's a scope for advocates. There's a scope for handling advocates. There's a scope for handling cases and dealing with advocates. So all these things are possible. There's a lot of scope as far as insurance company, more legal cases are concerned, both in motor third-party cases or in consumer forums or in employee-related issues, or everywhere there is a requirement for people to handle these cases. This is another area, those of you who have done LLB or plan to do LLB, it's a thought that you could look into. Yet another area is surveyors. Every claim is, almost every claim is surveyed by an independent person. Now, of course, the limits have undergone a change. Now there is a tremendous potential for surveyors and loss adjusters. They go see the site, they go see whatever is the loss, and then they finally tell the insurance company that according to us, this is the amount of losses which are there. And you can think in terms of paying up to this level or whatever it is. It's a huge field, a very, very paying field. And this is something where one can explore. Many people do not look at it as a lucrative profession because they are not aware of the potential. But it's a tremendous area. And here again, the amount of income which is generated, which is possible for people to generate, is huge. And you can look into that area also as another potential area for your taking up an occupation. Generally, engineers have an easy entry into this field, but accountants are also there. There are other people also who can be taken in as surveyors. There are surveyors who employ as much as 100, 200 engineers. There are huge survey firms. There are international survey firms. So all these things are also places where you could look at as opportunities, as a place where one can get into. And it all depends on your liking and inclination, but the potential is great. You have those of you who are interested in finance. There is scope in terms of finance because investment is a huge portfolio for all insurance companies. And many of these insurance companies live out of their investment income. And they make losses in their normal insurance business, which is compensated by the profits which they make in their investment income. So those of you who are interested in finance can look towards that as a possibility. Accounting, audit firms are required, and audits are now required for various operations. So all these things are possible, both internal audit and as well as external various certifications. Those of you who have specialized in even take say ISO 2000. Now there is an audit required every year, and there is a specialized auditor for that. You may have to undergo a course or a training for that, but then that is another possibility. So many areas are there where certifications are required. The scope is great. One area which is not given much importance, but perhaps has a tremendous scope, is investigation. Estimates vary from 15% to 30% across the globe. People say that insurance claims are fraudulent. That is, frauds and insurance claims, they say, could be anywhere from 10% to 30%, or maybe more or less. It's very difficult to estimate because there are different yardsticks for frauds, different levels of frauds. So it's difficult to estimate. But then it's an international phenomenon, and in India, it's a major issue. And we do keep exposing frauds, but perhaps the fraudsters stay one step ahead of the insurers. So there are organized rackets. I would not suggest that anyone use these ideas to get into those rackets, but then there is scope for investigating these rackets. And recently, I think 26 advocates from Lucknow, the High Court has cancelled their license and stopped them from practicing in the courts because they were involved in frauds. That is only one of the few things where action has been taken. There was a 400 crore fraud in motor third-party claims in Tamil Nadu. I'm talking about 2014-15 or maybe earlier, 2008-9. The number of cases involved and the number of people involved was so huge that even the CBI was scared of taking up that case. There were, bureaucrats involved, there were police officers involved, there were insurance people involved, there were advocates involved. And it's not as if it stopped with that. I was in Calcutta when we of about 150 crores. Again, a huge thing. We carried out a string operation where we recorded a broker telling that, okay, sab ho jayega. And recently in Punjab, Haryana, there has been a huge scandal which has been unearthed. And there again, there is, it's only due to investigation, diligent investigation, which came out. But we don't have sufficient investigators. We don't have sufficient quality of investigators to look into all these things. In fact, one of my friend's sons, he, after completing his graduation, he decided to get into investigation, set up an investigation firm in Kerala. He's doing pretty well. So there is scope for you to for self-generation also, self-employment in investigation. And as an investigator, companies also appoint investigators. And there is a scope there also. So any of you who are inclined towards that, there is a lot of potential for it. And recently, a couple of days back, I was reading about one lady, I think, called Pandit, who has set up a detective agency. So it's not as if it is restricted to men. Ladies are also capable of getting into investigations. One of my friends, his wife is has been an investigator, but she was more into criminal investigations. So there is potential for investigations also, both jobs as well as self-employment. Recovery agents is another thing which many of you would not have heard, but in non-life insurance, it's something peculiar, where goods, one example is goods which are sent from say, somebody sends goods from Kolkata to Surat. And when the wagon lands up in, the goods are not received in Surat. So there are two possibilities. One is it could be a theft. Or it sometimes happens that these wagons go to some other place. It happens, you must have heard about airlines baggage also. You get into an airlines and you have heard people complaining that my baggage was sent off to some other place. It happened with me once also. My baggage, instead of being delivered in Chennai, went to Mumbai free of cost, but came back. That was also free of cost. The baggage took 2 trips and they came back. So this keeps happening. And there is scope for what we call recovery agents. There are recovery agents, not too many of them, but there is need for many of them. So they will trace out the wagon, they will trace out the goods, follow it up. There'll be a paper trail to it, or now a technological digital trail to it. They'll follow it up and get those things back. So there's scope for that also. Then, of course, I don't know whether there are any medical doctors or veterinarians here. If there are there, then the industry employs people as employees, and as opportunity is there for them also. In fact, recently in one of the seminars where I was attending, a CEO of an insurance company, she is an MD, and she has also done MBA in finance and has gone on to insurance. So you can understand the amount of potential that is there and the kind of range which is there for each one of you. Any of you can get into any line. So we do employ a lot of doctors and veterinarians for this purpose. Agriculture. Agriculture insurance came up with a bang in 2015, and a lot of agriculture insurance is taking place in the country, and we have tremendous scope in terms of various activities in agriculture. And I was actively involved with when it started, when the Fasal Bima Yojana was started, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So the complexities and the challenges and the lack of trained personnel at local level is something to be seen. So there's tremendous scope to get into it. You don't have to be an agriculture specialist. You don't have to be a horticultural specialist. You can just get into it with any qualification. There are so many activities which need to be taken up. So there again lies a lot of possibilities. And IT. IT is now changing everything. It's there in everybody's life. We cannot go without encountering IT in places. So IT is another area where there is a lot of scope, and a lot of insurtech firms are coming up where new things are being developed. And in fact, 2-3 months back, we were in a seminar where Professor Pratik Priyadarshi and Dr. Chaturaj and Ms. Pandey, Professor Pandey were all there. So one of the things which one of the panelists was saying in the panel in which we were was about for cattle insurance. He said there's somebody who's come who has developed a software for muzzle print. Muzzle means the nose of a cow, which is something unique like a fingerprint. So he said something has been developed and it's something unique. So I found it very interesting. So I had the experience in the 80s, early 80s, when cattle insurance was in its nascent stage and developing. So at that time, we used to get into trying to find out ways and means of identifying cattle. So one of the things at that time was, which we identified, was muzzle print. And we felt that it was a great thing. And but unfortunately, it was not possible to take prints physically. It would have been impossible. So what we did was we came up with, we just left it and we came up with alternative methods. But today technology has made it possible. So this thing was known to people that this was an area where things could be done. And this is another area where, because of technology, we are able to do. And technology, there are so many places, and technology, there was an InsurTech conference which I was attending recently, where novel ways have come up on various aspects of insurance. Those of you inclined towards it, there is scope for that also. Then you have risk inspections, where there is a lot of potential. Never forget that this is a sunrise industry. There is tremendous potential for you. And question is, how do you, in case of jobs, how do you join? In case of, other than, Dr. Chaturaj lending a helping hand and seeing that you're all placed in appropriate places. But other than that, if you want the government sector, generally it is by way of an exam. There'll be notifications in the paper. It will be by way of an exam. And if it is private companies, it's more by word of mouth. So these are ways by which you can enter various organizations. Only thing is, there is this story, how many of you would be aware of it, would have heard of it, but I keep repeating it. When Guru Dronacharya was teaching his students, that is the Pandavas and Kauravas, he asked each one of them to look at a bird at a distant tree and ask them, what do you see? So each one of them said, I see a tree, I see a bird, I see a fruit, and so many things they told. When he finally asked Arjun, Arjun's simple answer was, he said, I see only the eye of the bird. So he was able to focus on that eye, and he emerged as the best archer of those times. So that is something that you should imbibe and focus on what is being told to you, because there's a lot of things that you need to will be told to you. Keep focusing on what is being told to you and do things with devotion. Devotion is something which is absolutely essential. You have come here for learning, and learning is something which is very essential. You'll be told a lot of things during this period. There is a anecdote which is told that all of you would have heard of Ramayana, it was written by sage Valmiki, a brilliant piece of work, one of the earliest poetic works in the history of the world. He wrote that, and after that somebody told him Narad Muni is supposed to have gone and met him. So at that time Valmiki told that I have written this, did you go through it? So Narad Muni said, yes, I have gone through it, I have went through it. But there is one Ramayana written by Hanuman, which is much better than what you have. So Valmiki was taken aback, sage Valmiki, a great person, a great sage, he was taken aback. So he went and asked Hanumanji, he said, can I see what you have written? So Hanumanji showed him whatever he had written. And when he saw that, Valmiki was so impressed, but at the same time, he was sad. He became sad and silent. So Hanumanji asked him, why is it? What is the matter? Why have you become sad? So he said, look, this, what you have written is so brilliant and so great. If people read that, nobody will read my what I have written, my Ramayana. So then Hanuman ji just took a look at that. He took the material from Sage Valmiki and just tore it apart. Just tore it. So Valmiki Mahamuni asked him, why are you doing this? What have you done? He said, no, I have written this not for anybody's consumption. I have written it for my consumption. I was happy with it. I wanted to write about it. I wrote. I'm happy with it. So I have no problem in tearing apart. You have written for the world to know. So your thing needs to go to the world. So let it be so. That's why I tore it off. So that should be the approach that you have. That when you learn, you have to learn it for yourself. Whatever it's taught to you, don't take it as insignificant. Whatever is taught to you, learn it for yourself. In fact, a similar approach I had in my college days. I was doing botany honors. And at that time, I had a professor. We had a problem with each other. We never did really get on well. That is one aspect. But then he was such a brilliant professor that I always used to make it a point to attend his class. And he used to teach genetics very well. With all the latest things he used to come, explain it very well. I used to make it a point to attend. Then once I approached him before the next semester was to start, and I asked him, I said, sir, can you give me last semester's and next semester's notes, which you would have written last year? I'll copy them down and give it to you. He said, no, I cannot give it to you. I said, why? He said, every semester after I write, I tear off all my work. I tear off all my papers. And then for the next semester, I prepare again. That is the only way I will stay abreast with all the new developments which are taking place. So be devoted to what is taught, understand what it is, and take it with full amount of focus. I'm sure all of you would succeed in your objective of whatever you have taken up of becoming, MBA. Completing the course and getting your certificates and then getting into jobs. I'm sure with the track record that BIMTech has shown, I'm sure all of you will find good openings, avenues. My job was only to share with you some of my thoughts that it's not only jobs that you should be looking at, you can even look at self-employment also. So wish you all the best. Have a great career and all the best.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. It was, and of course, Abhay Tiwari, sir, it was more a sense of deja vu that we had all this while, because between the two of you, you've talked about the theory aspects and then followed it up by the actionable parts. So I guess that is the ideal combination that we were looking at. And for that, I must compliment Professor Chaturaj, because he came out with the combination of both the names that we see on the screen today. Thank you very much, sir.
Just one thing, sir. You talked about marketing.
Not able to hear you.
Yeah, somehow I'm also not able to hear.
So what I was saying, sir, both of you emphasize the importance of marketing. And when Mr. Tiwari, despite being a qualified and ace actuary, he said he learned the most from his selling experience, and marketing that matters. I started my career teaching marketing, and I always felt when I used to talk with my HR faculty and finance faculty, whatever you do, if you cannot market it, there is no meaning. you have to market your product. So ascent is on marketing, and young students out here, you have to realize that if you cannot, first you have to market yourself, and then you have to market your company, market your organization. If you cannot do that, you don't really excel. It's so great to see an actuary laying so much importance on marketing. And Vijay Srinivasan sir has been very seasoned insurance professional all these years. He has been marketing things so well. And even today he is doing human services to, he is currently his Director General of ACDR, which I believe is in the field of arbitration, isn't it, sir?
Yes, it's in the field of arbitration.
Yes, so you are still very active. So that is what I want of all these students. When I say spring your legs, your spring in your legs should be marketing. If you don't market, insurance will not grow. All your problems with penetration, it will remain there unless you market insurance. So thank you so much, sir, so much for your brilliant pieces of advice. I hope students will assimilate it and take forward the baton forward. They will excel in their career and do proud to both us and both to the industry. Thank you so much, sir. Please.
Sir, you see, no function, no orientation or such an occasion can be complete without a formal vote of thanks. And for that, I would request Professor Manoj Pandey, because I've noticed that he's been taking down notes while both of you all were talking. So I guess he'll give it back to you when the time comes, sir. All yours, sir.
Yeah, just one more point on this aspect of marketing. I think, see, we fail to sometimes realize that, when I was looking at the entire gamut of savings products options which are available in India, as a normal, I was talking to my daughter and I was trying to explain to her and understand what youngsters think of saving. So she's also pursuing her engineering and, in engineering, BITS Pilani. So she is also, excited about career and all that. She's now moved to the 4th year. So I was, trying to understand whether they also consider equity or mutual funds as more important, or debt instruments and fixed returns, and what appeals to them. So I found that, equities and mutual funds definitely rate higher in their scheme of things, because being young gives you more flexibility and an approach where you can take more risk in your portfolio and in investment and savings. But, I felt that they don't look at insurance as the key component in their portfolio. They feel that this is one, small element which we can always add. But just to, dispel that myth, in fact, insurance savings can be your only vehicle or only thing which you may have, and then you can still do much better than most people in the country. If for example, I keep on looking at it, if I'm a direct investor in an equity fund, I'll still end up paying a long-term capital gain tax. And that will require a lot of expertise to, keep on always looking at understanding market, understanding stocks, understanding companies. So after a job and work, will you be able to devote as much time as you should to manage your portfolio and savings to give you the most optimum returns? So there are certain questions which you will need to answer. So savings can be parked in insurance to give the best return or the most optimum return as per the risk appetite of a customer. And that perhaps is the biggest thing which, I perhaps learned when I joined this industry. Before that, I was also not even aware that, all the instruments, all the things. So if you see non-par products, they are better than any, fixed deposit or recurring deposit instrument today, because post-tax return can be far, far better. And that will be with life cover. So you can understand, with life cover, net of life cover, you are getting returns which are much higher post-tax. Similarly, on unit-linked products, the returns today are much higher. The charges are much lower than a mutual fund, but people may not be aware. So over 20 years' time, our CIO was doing one presentation and he showed that with the same return generated at a mutual fund and an insurance company, you can perhaps give 50% better return to the customer with the same level of return, because only of the taxation aspect. So those kind of things have to be understood, that, this is a great vehicle and opportunity for us. So it is not essentially saving, it is, not essentially marketing or pushing your sales. It is about making people understand that there is a great vehicle, and if the need matches and if it's a long-term savings for you, please park it here. Similarly, if a car insurance or a vehicle insurance or say a crop insurance is the most important need in our village. For example, Ganges mein ek bar baad aati hai. Once the flooding happens in say 6 or 7 years. Now, if I go with that very simple understanding and explain to the villagers that 10 to 15% premium will be charged, but you will be always sure that your produce will be always, you will get back returns on that. And you price 10-15% higher just because of that, maybe the premium. But that 10-15% in none of the year you will have any problem. So this is not so difficult to explain to people also, but sometimes, and plus they may not have that understanding. The more importantly, the awareness is not so high. So if we can do all of these, I think it's just much more than push sales, or the way we have been taught to look at marketing or selling. Is that I'm saying that the product proposition is so good that the selling becomes automatic, or the marketing becomes automatic. But generally, we have been told that marketing is about selling an inferior product by making it look superior. But I am saying this is not the case here. We are not trying to push or do something which perhaps is not in the best interest of the customer. If there is no other alternative, for example, in general insurance, all the products which we do, I mean, what's the other alternative? You have to get it done. So those kind of things, but making people aware that your assets are important, and it may happen once in 20 years that things may go wrong, but you need to cover them actually, and you need to insure them. So those are some of the things. As Vijay sir said, I think I would also look forward to see a lot of you become independent entrepreneurs, because become job creators. There are as he said rightly, that there are many Agniveers who are looking for those jobs which you will be creating. So we will perhaps the InsurTech and the technology offers you that platform. Earlier it was all about capital. पैसे नहीं है तो कैसे start करेंगे, business कैसे होगा? But today your learning, your knowledge, your that is the best capital which anybody can have. So please leverage that, and I think looking forward to seeing many entrepreneurs also come out of this group.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, you are bang on the target, sir.
If I may just add a word here, I have also recently come across many of innovative products from the life insurance sector. Companies have come out with tax-free returns, which is almost on a monthly basis. Immediately they start giving returns which are tax-free. So it becomes a very comfortable thing to have such a product. And it didn't take the person showing it to me much time to convince me that it is something which could be useful. Sorry, carry on.
Thank you, sir. Of course, BIMTech and our new students were fortunate enough to have two people, I can say, from two different generations. Srinivas sir for last 40 years, Tiwari ji for last 20 years. But the two people who joined industry as an officer and then rose to the occasion to the level of CMD and also the MD and CEO. Very fortunate, sir, to have you, both of you over here. And just to summarize, Tiwari ji started his career as a sales officer, mind it, and all along his lecture, all along his address, he was stressing the need of understanding the customer need and doing things, everything beyond that circle. He talked about the hard work, skill set, attitude, and opportunity. One thing which I really liked, Abhayji, that when you said that one should not get mesmerized by this information technology. Information technology is a tool to do the right things. So until you understand the ecosystem means everything. He gave so many examples that technology may lead you to a different direction. वो होता है ना, वो गार्बेज इन गार्बेज आउट गो. आप जिस तरह का डाटा लाओगे और डाटा को अगर ठीक से नहीं समझोगे तो डिसीजन मेकिंग प्रोसेस ही गलत हो जाएगा. So his whole emphasis was in understanding the core subject knowledge. Customer understanding was always on the top of his agenda, and he gave you idea that please be bold, share your idea, because you being fresh blood in the industry, you have you are not carrying any baggage. So whatever you are sharing, please be open and share it to the management. Maybe that your suggestion may not be accepted immediately, but you have this practice of becoming a unique piece for your company. That was his suggestion. He also talked about developing relationship without expecting, and that's a fact. Today only we said you that please join LinkedIn, follow senior people like Tiwari ji, Vijay Srinivas, and there are so many people, and don't expect immediate result. Result आएगा, automatic आएगा. अगर आप दूसरे के लिए अच्छा करोगे तो आपके लिए भी अच्छा होगा. Srinivas sir was a great orator. I mean, within that maybe 30-35 minutes, he started with a very good note, na? That employability. At one side, people are fighting for job, and at one side, there is 100% placement. So what is the difference? The difference is maybe opportunity that your father, mother could afford you to send to a right place, and you are at a right place in a sun rising industry where the demand supply gap is always there. So you are lucky in that way. Sir summarized very beautifully the transition from nationalization to privatization and the current scenario right now. And beautifully, he gave the entire spectrum of opportunity which is there with you. So he talked about what? Marketing, sales, publicity, investment, investigation, audit, fraud detection, IT, agriculture, and so on. So please understand, insurance is again not only selling. Selling is the most important aspect, but you have got the career opportunity in so many things. And sir, I will like to I'm very happy to share you, sir, this entrepreneurship aspect is catching up. So at least 20 of students, my own student in a sense that I started teaching here in 2012, 20 of them have started having their own venture. And just 3 days back, 2 of the brother who have been a pass out from BIMTech, Raghav Jain and Keshav Jain, they have got the in principle approval of their own insurance broking firm. So there are people in surveying, there are people in IMF, there are people in IT, and they have started doing it, sir. So I'm sure with the passage of time, opportunity, and luckily we have got a very good setup over here in BIMTech, Atal Incubation Center. And just now in faculty group, we have got a message that in the UP had conducted one, a seminar or maybe some competition for startups. And all the first 3 prizes were owned by the AIC incubators. So that's a great challenge. And very recently, maybe 1 month back, sir, we have started a cohort for InsurTech entrepreneur. So that name given is Insurepreneurs, insurance and entrepreneur. So myself and Pratik ji are there. So we are trying to help not only our own students, but even people who are coming from the outside to explore their opportunity, explore their talent in the insurance field. You was a great listening, sir. You also talked about the attitude. There is a change in attitude in the customer also. It's no more only a push. COVID may be a negative aspect for all of us in our personal life, but at least it has been a great enabler for the insurance industry. Push से pull में convert करने में COVID का बहुत बड़ा हाथ है. Even for the digitalization, the things which could have taken maybe 10 years were got done in 2-year time frame. So that has given a good change in the aptitude. Technology helping, I'm not sure, but many of them must have bought some small insurance from Amazon, Flipkart, or so many other platforms. So the summary was very good, sir. As you said from the Mahabharata, that kindly try to identify your strength and focus. We talked about that Arjun and Dronacharya, that machli ka aankh wali baat. So that is the real crux, because things are so complicated outside that you have to identify your own strength and make yourself the expert in that particular domain. Opportunities are great. बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटी है, उसकी चिंता आपको नहीं करनी है. 2 साल आपके पास बहुत समय, 2 साल भी नहीं, 1.5 साल ही होगा. उसके बाद तो प्लेसमेंट का सीजन चालू हो जाएगा. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच सर. आप दोनों का आना हमारे लिए बहुत ही सौभाग्य का विषय था, और आप लोगों से सुन के बच्चों का आज बहुत ही मनोबल बढ़ा होगा. So thank you very much, sir, for your time. And with this, I'm giving back to Pratik, sir.
So thank you very much, sir. The mere fact that the applaud has come as a group shows our gratitude, and thank you to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure having you with us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Pratik ji. Thank you, Manoj sir. Thank you. Thank you, Abhijit sir. Thank you, Vijay sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye to all of you.